Hey, this is George. Oh, Fred, you got a little echo to you, but this is Real Talk with George. How you guys doing? I can hear you. Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Okay, that's weird. Oh, I don't probably know why. I know why. I'm not gonna say.
Yeah, but we can't hear you now. You're on mute. Too funny. See what happens when you run right in? I'm gonna let you get situated, and I'm gonna bring Dad in because he is ready to go. Dad, welcome to Real Talk.
There you go. Yes,
How
thanks for
you
having
doing?
me, guys. I'm here. I'm doing great. It's just been a few months now since I last fought, so excited to share the war. What's going
What's
on?
going on?
All right, all right, all right. So
Huh?
let me ask you, what are you
Yeah.
are you doing now? You just rest and relax, and you got a fight coming up. What's going on, Dad?
Yeah. I think I just talked to the owner of Bare Knuckle last week, so we're doing some big things. The company is growing so fast and rapidly. They just have a con. I think they just have investor as Shaq and Pitbull as the investor. So it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be a multi-billion-dollar company in the near future. So my wife here, she's talking to me, so that's how I'm looking at her. So she's distracting me but anyway, yeah, I talked to the owner of Bare Knuckle, and the company is growing so rapidly, and they're gonna do big things, and I'm just excited to be a part of it. I'm one of the early guys that actually signed with the company, not actually signed yet, but I'm with the company, and they're looking to get me some big fights. So
Nice.
Now let me ask
look
you,
forward to that.
why bare knuckle fighting?
Yeah.
Why not MMA or something where you get a little bit of covers on the hands or something? You know?
Well, I have choices, but like I said, I've been wanting to do MMA. I wanted to get into the UFC for so many years, but I never went to try out. I think if I would have went to the tryout, I would have been selected because I have a full background in martial arts. But like I said, 10 years ago, I mean, I was like 2010. I submitted the when they had the Ultimate Fighter series, so
Yeah.
I was submitted
Oh
for.
yeah.
They never selected me. I think that was a big mistake. Imagine if they did had me 10 years ago, I would have been one of the biggest stars. I would have beat whoever's in there, because
Right.
I grew up doing martial arts. So, and at the same time, I had a scholarship for boxing after high school, so I chose that route. And then, but I was a martial artist, so I did boxing for all that time, trying to be a world champion. And then, like I said, in boxing, when you get old and you're not active, they don't look to build you. They're looking to
Right.
build younger fighters like Ryan Garcia, will have a large following. So, everybody just forgot about me. So I said, my opportunity, I want to be able to join bare knuckle because I know it's a new sports that's been legalized after 130 years. Bare knuckle is legal
No,
in the
absolutely.
1900s,
Yeah,
early
absolutely. I
1800s,
mean,
yeah, the early. So
that's where you get boxing from. That's where you get everything else. Is the bare knuckle fights? They used to fight like this,
right, right.
and it's. I mean, it's the purest form of combat. But me, I'm looking at my face now, man. I'm like, I can't take them kind of punches. You
Yeah.
know, it's serious. It's serious. It's almost like a real street fight, almost.
It is. I mean, that's why I like it because it's so pure. There's no protection,
Yeah.
and I mean, if you ever been in a fist fight, you're gonna know because the damage to your hand is very very real. With gloves on, you're actually doing more damage to your opponent. So in bare knuckle, when you hit your opponent, your knuckles are getting damaged too.
Yes.
So if you keep hitting your opponent and he's gonna be right there in front of you, oh man, your knuckle are gone. Like I said, in my last two fights that went the distance, my knuckle were gone. And every time I hit the guy, it hurts just to hit him. So but like I said, I'm glad that back in the 1800s, the fighter used to fight for like 2 hours straight. They won't
Right.
even strike because they'll pick their shot. They don't even throw. So the crowd will be like, oh, the fight's going too long, 3 hours. But in bare knuckle, they make the fight action and nonstop. They made it the round shorter, so it forced the fighter to to jump right on it and use their weapon right away, using their knuckle right away. So if the more you hit and the more you land, your knuckle just deteriorate because it bruised up. And once it bruised up, it's like your knuckle a gun. And every time you hit them, it's like a pillow. You know how it bruised up, and then you hit them, the knuckle hurts, and so the damage lessens. People don't realize that.
No, I realize that I'm a martial artist as well too, and I know that you don't wear
Yeah.
gloves in the street. You know,
Right.
hitting the
Right.
skull here, you can break your hand. Hitting
Right.
here, you can break anything. You know, that's why I was saying, how about a little knuckle cover to make sure, you know, because a lot of boxers, as you know, that they suffer
Right.
from brittle hand syndrome. Ali
Right.
had it
Right.
where he
Right.
was always breaking his hand, and he had wraps and gloves on. You guys are hitting with bare knuckles that do damage not only to the person but to yourself. How
Yep.
long do you think that you can stay in that kind of sport and be a champion in that kind of sport with that kind of damage that you're taking?
Well, like I said, my knuckle. I said, look at my knuckle now. I mean, it's getting more stronger as because I'm so used to being a boxer hitting with gloves every time I train. So if I condition my knuckle, the knuckle is going to get tougher and tougher. It's going to get stronger. So I mean, like I said, as long as I want to continue to fight, I can fight till I'm 50. As fighters getting smarter now, who would thought fighters are getting better and better as they age. Look at
Oh yeah,
Bernard Hopkins fighting. You know what I mean? And he's still beating those young guys. So because as like I said, back it all depends on certain fighters' IQ. And for me, as I get older, I'm getting better. And I like I said, I'm gonna be defending my belt. And then actually I already talked to David, the owner of Bare Knuckle, that I'm planning to fight the 145-pound contender to have that belt, and
hmm
then eventually go up to 155 once I win that title because I want to challenge myself, and right now Bare Knuckle's roster is a they have a good amount of fighters, but more fighters are going to be coming there as they see the sports grow. So
True.
it's the next big thing. It's the next big thing.
Absolutely. But let me ask you, mixed martial arts was considered the fastest growing sport in the world, and it has compared
Hmm.
to other things. Bare knuckle fighting has a new light on it now, from what everybody's doing. Do you think that like boxing and MMA will finally see $1 million purses for these fighters? Because in MMA, I'm sure as
Uh,
you know, some fighters are even fighting for like $50 just to show up, taking all
Right.
that damage. You know what I
Yeah.
You
mean?
know, yeah. I mean, the MMA, those guys are actually taking a lot more damage because that's the reason why bare knuckle is safer because it's like nothing on your knuckle. Like you said, why don't they put something on your knuckle? Imagine if I had wraps on my hand. Trust me, my opponent would be in worse shape. Because
Right.
yeah.
my hand, like I said, you by the end of the third round, my hand was gone. I don't even want to hit the guy anymore because every time it
Right.
hits the guy, it just hurts me. Like I mean, trying to hit, like when you're upset or something, you hit something and trying to hit again once it's bruised up. So you don't want to do that, And
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
that's why bare knuckle is safer because it's a true form of combat where it's the purest form. And that's why I think it's safer for the fighter. But imagine if you put wraps and gloves on, it's actually more dangerous because then what you're doing is you put in a hammer. Okay, your hand is the hammer, and you wrap a pillow around it,
No, you're
and you
right.
keep hitting your opponent in the head. Right? You know what I mean? So the opponent's taking a lot of punishment. But like if you're using your bare hand and you're not putting no gloves on, so you actually you saving your opponents, from actually accepting more damage.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to transcend phrase. I got you. I was just going to transition into that head damage. You
Mhm.
know, with the
Right.
MMA gloves. The reason why I keep going to this is because when you had a knockout, it was a knockout. People knew that it was a knockout when it was over. Like you said, with
Right.
boxing, 10, 15 rounds. That's why they shortened the rounds because a lot of fighters were getting severe head damage. But even with
Hmm.
bare knuckles, you can hit fast enough now to put the person down, flash knockout or knockout where they don't have to keep taking those punches. You see what I mean
Hmm.
to the head to cause severe damage.
Right.
Um, Let me ask you, what's a training camp like for bare knuckle? Because I know in martial arts we do knuckle push-ups. We try to,
Yeah.
strengthen our knuckles. But what do you hit? Do you hit like a heavy bag? How do you train your knuckles for bare knuckle?
To tell you the truth, I've been doing martial arts for so long. So, I mean, I have the love for it, but I don't even train that very often until I have a fight. And sometimes, the people don't get to see the best potential for me. And now that I'm a world champion, my full-time job is to train, I guess, because I'll be making a lot more money. So, I can just, put everything aside and just focus on training. But
Right.
before this, for 10 years, I was a boxing trainer. I had my own gym and I trained people for a living. And these past 2 years, I built a restaurant from scratch up. It took me 19 months to build it, and then I opened this restaurant 2 years ago. So I've been working here, helping my wife run the restaurants. So it's hard for me to train when you run a restaurant. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
And you
absolutely.
run a business. So I
You
actually,
get
yeah.
big
So I
quick.
actually trained. Well, the restaurant business is not easy, but like I said, I have a lot of things I want to do in my life, and because I've been competing in martial arts and combat sports for so long, and I know the whole business of it. So it doesn't motivate me unless I'm fighting for a title or something, or some
Right.
big
Yeah.
names, and the people only know you are as good as your last opponent you beat. So you know what I
Yeah.
mean. So now that I'm a world champion, it opens up a lot of doors for me. It's gonna let me do a lot more things, as a
Right.
fighter, as it's fulfilling my dreams, me being able to train, full time again,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
and
Right.
leave the restaurant on the. Like I said, for the past 2 months, my restaurant has been closed because since my last fight, we took a little break for a little bit, and then just some unfortunate things happened. Like I got COVID. I never thought COVID was. I always thought COVID was like foolish crap.
Yeah.
And then I got it, and it hit me hard. So I was like, man, I'm glad I got it. I'm very over with it. And then afterwards, then we went on a lake. My wife got into a scooter accident, so a lot of things been happening. So I'm just happy that everything is getting back to normal now for me.
That's true. Like I would say that's way. I'm old school. I'm old school baller, but
Mm-hmm.
I also study a lot of styles. And what I learned is most styles train with certain things. And what I learned to do is train how I want to fight is how I train. What
Mhm.
style I want to use is what I use. So style I learned that helped a lot is Muay Thai.
Right.
And especially bare knuckles, because I train without rap. My coach tell me, put gloves on. But why? Nobody have
Right.
gloves on in reality. So
That's
Right.
right.
they tell me to put gloves on. I don't like to train with gloves on because I think gloves takes away from your power. It takes a lot away from your accuracy. Because a lot of times when you use gloves on, you just do this. It just happens. Bare knuckle, you can't do this because you see where it's going and you have to control
Right.
more. So my thing is, if you ever say to transition over to MMA, then what different training method you have to use because bare knuckle is a lot different versus putting gloves on. Like what training method you use, or will you train different styles, or you allow more your martial arts background?
Right.
Right. Yeah. I agree with you. Like I said, it all depends on what form of rules you're fighting. Like I said, combat sports with bare knuckle has its own rule. With the UFC, it has its own way of
Yeah.
protecting certain fighters. Like in the UFC, you cannot, like in MMA in general, you cannot strike an opponent when they are down. Basically, if the opponent has their hand or their feet touching the floor, you can't kick them in the face. And I actually compete in MMA back in
Yeah.
1999, and that's one of my biggest mistakes because I basically fought a black belt jiu-jitsu guy, and he trying to take me down. I sprawl, and I roundhouse him right in his face, and I got disqualified for knocking
Whoa.
him out
Mhm.
because he shot on me because his knee was touching the floor and I
Yeah.
roundhouse him right in the face. You can't do that in MMA. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
Basically it
Well,
protects
that's
the
not
grappler.
true technically because if you remember Pride allowed you to kick to the face. The problem
Right.
here in the United States was they couldn't get that passed because it was just too, how do I say, brutal. But that's
Right.
the real essence of sport. And that's why one brought it back. One brought that rule back where you can do the soccer kick to the face and so forth and so on. And it changed the dynamic of the fight because now exactly. Fighters just don't. One championship does that now. So now you got fighters that are just not laying and praying and grabbing. They have to worry about those kicks and strikes on the ground, which makes it more dynamic.
Right. If you watch Nick Diaz, that's what he does. He lays on his back because he's a black belt jiu-jitsu. He's like, come on over here and lay with me. If
That's
somebody's
right.
not a jiu-jitsu guy. He don't want to grapple with that guy. I'm a striker. I like striking more. I mean, even though I know, the ground game because I was 4-year varsity wrestler and I learned a bit of jiu-jitsu from my friends. I prefer fighting standing up because it's more of a man-to-man thing. You don't want to. I mean, wrestling is so
Totally agree.
mixed. It's a full aspect of fighting. But I prefer man-to-man. We stand up and fight like men, like
Exactly.
real gentlemen.
Yeah, but you also have to understand too that as a martial arts instructor, when I teach, I'm like, you don't want to lay on gravel, you don't want to lay on the dirt, you don't want to lay on rocks, you don't want to lay on pavement and fight.
Right.
Okay, your body's gonna get cut up. You want to stand up, see what's happening, right, and be able to whatever it is you got to do, as opposed to just laying on the ground and you don't know who he's with. What if his friend comes and kicks you in the head? You don't see it because you're focused on him. You see what I mean? So I never liked laying on my back. I use it to be defensive, to not go on the back, but I like to stand up like you. If we're gonna fight, we're gonna fight. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right.
I tell you, I learned both ways. Well, I learned called close quarter combat, what I call it. And I fight in your face. I'm not gonna fight around you. Because one thing, look, if you got a person that reach longer than you, if you're in the face, he can't touch you.
That's right.
Right.
He can't kick you. He can't do it. So I learned that when I implemented with Muay Thai is most fighters didn't like me. When I fought the guy and mess around jiu-jitsu fighter, he mostly was distance. I'm not gonna get you distance. So you had to take me down, but you can't take me down because you know why? And level what body width, he was 2 times smaller than me.
That's
so
right.
He wasn't gonna get me down if he wanted to because once you learn your leverage, your body, your strength, you know how to maneuver that.
Mm-hmm.
Now some people don't know how to use that. You see some big guys in MMA don't know how to leverage themselves. You got to buy twice the size, get slammed. Like, why you get slammed? You too big. He don't know his power. He don't know his strength.
Right.
He don't know what his lies on. So I learned that. Now, based on that story, do you think a really bigger difference? Because some fighters have a problem. Me and George talk about all the time when they go from lower pound to higher pound because of the weight factor, because of the leverage. Like, do you think it'll be a bigger advantage to go up, or do you think a bigger advantage to stay down where you're at and go down and went up that way and come back up?
Well, for me, it all depends. There's pros and cons to that. I mean, as I go up in weight, I'm gonna be faster and more elusive. If I go down, I'm gonna be stronger. So it all depends on the pros and cons. So, like I said, I like to fight bigger guys because it challenges me, it motivates me. Fighting smaller guys doesn't motivate me because in my mind I know I already beat them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, it doesn't provide a challenge for me. Like I said, that's why I want to fight 145 next and win that title. And then the fight, if Palomino has the 155-pound title, I'm going to fight him next. I mean, I'm not calling him out yet. I'm taking steps by step. You gotta crawl before you walk, right? So let me win those titles, and then people are going to take me more seriously. Like, before I was a bare knuckle champion, I already knew I was going to win this belt, but nobody believed me until I became a world champion. Like I said, now everybody always said, "Why are you so confident?" Because if you know your ability in your mind, that is real confident. You're not just speaking trash. So I truly believe it. That's why a lot of people, now they're taking me more seriously because I said this years ago I would be a world champion. It just never provided me the opportunity. Now, bare knuckle gave me the opportunity to be a world champion. And I'm going to do big things with them. I'm going to go to 145. All those guys are going to be like, oh, he's talking shit. He's talking trash. But, now that I beat Johnny, Johnny Bedford was actually, he the way that he spoke in his life, like he said he was going to be the best bare knuckle ever in the best shape of his life. And guess what? I wasn't even in my best, and I still beat him. So, yeah.
Well, let me ask you, and I'm going to preference this as a fighter, right? I'm going to preference this as a fighter, Dad. Look. I know when Manny Pacquiao fought Margarito, he said that he had gone up in weight too far. And some of the punches that Margarito was hitting him when he said it really, really hurt him. So he was going back down in weight. You don't have that luxury with bare knuckles. And sometimes it just takes just a little twist to be able to hit you hard. Are you comfortable going that 15, 20 pounds?
I tell you something. I've been sparring a lot of big guys. Okay, big guys, they're gonna hit you harder because they get more leverage behind their weight. And the thing about fighter is people don't realize it. Manny Pacquiao is an offensive fighter. He got to be offensive to win fights, right? And for you to make a fighter, he probably can make fighters miss, but he's one for me. The way that I look at him, he's a one-dimensional. He only know how to attack. And you know, if you look at Mayweather, he's multi-dimensional. He can move. He can make you miss all day. You know what I mean? So that's the fighter I am. I have, you know, for the past 10 years that I train people, I have developed myself to be a well-rounded fighter. I can be elusive. I can be defensive. Like that's what I do when I fight bigger guys in my gym. I be very defensive and they can't touch me. And that's the thing, you know, if the bigger guys are throwing those punches and you see it coming, you know, you can make them miss and they can't touch you, you know, because they're bigger, they're going to be slower, you know.
Right.
So you know, when you're talking about Manny Pacquiao, say that, you know, now Margaret hit him a lot harder. Of course, he's going to hit him a lot harder, but because he's one-dimensional. I love Manny Pacquiao. Don't get me wrong. He's the greatest fighter out there. So I'm not degrading him, but I'm just saying that his style,
right,
his style of fighting, it's he don't care about getting hit. He just want to hit people. Sometimes that's how I am. You know, I don't care about getting hit. I just want to hit my opponent. And that's not. I mean, that's gonna do a lot of damage to you later on. But I could elude my opponent miss. But you know, like I said, like people want to see offensive fighter. They don't want to see defensive fighter too much because sometimes it could be boring if you're avoiding too much hit. You know, and you know, be on your foot.
That's
absolutely.
True. When I used to box, the thing boxer already told me is take a hit and know not to get hit. You got to learn to take a hit. Right. If you don't take a hit properly, then you know you get wounded, you get dazed. Because the way you take a hit, I didn't know that either. There's certain technology ways you take a hit that will take a hit, you wouldn't even feel it. It barely grab guys, raise you. Like, for instance, Tyson. If you have someone similar earlier fight, he got hit. He just brushed it off.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then he learned a while, and he got older. Like you say, older, you start learning to do this. And I'm taking more history, move a little bit. You know, other fighters with the opposite, like Pacquiao, like for instance, Canelo. See, Canelo and Pacquiao will be a good fight due to the fact the matter is they both offensive fighters. But Canelo can also change gears on them and go defensive in a heartbeat and go straight to power. Where Pacquiao is still the same dimension, which they get some tilt sometimes. But people know when you fight Pacquiao, he throws almost 300 punches around.
That's right.
That's one round.
See, I gotta disagree with you. Some of the things I love boxing too, and I studied boxing. Right? Hey, I love this. I love talking about this because I'm a student of the game too. You know, and
that's right. That's right.
Watching those guys, and like I said, Canelo. I think Canelo. He's not a one-dimensional fighter. He's a multi-dimensional fighter. If he wants to be defensive, nobody can touch him. I mean, he since the Triple G fight, he has improved so much confidently. That his defensive, I mean, he could be very elusive and make fighters miss. And he fight that Mexican style. He'd be right in front of your face, but you can't touch him. Once you let your hands go, he can counter you and he can take you apart. And I mean, right now, the two best fighters I see in boxing right now is Canelo and Terrence Crawford, because that's what Terrence Crawford is. He's a 50-50 fighter where he can be offensive and he can be defensive. That's what makes great fighter. You know, most fighters are one-dimensional. And like Pacquiao, he's the greatest offensive fighter out there. But what happened when he's not throwing punches? He's not winning the fight. You know what I mean? He can't make you miss. He just sit there and block. You know, that's why Mayweather is one of the greatest fighters out there. No matter what people said, he's very defensive and offensively very good. Defensively, one of the greatest. Offensively, he's just as great as everybody else. And he's very smart. You know, fighting is about using IQ. You know, like that's why I said. I see some of the kids that comes in here and they train so hard every day. Every day they run. I don't even train. I go to the gym and I beat them up. They're like, I train every day. Why can't they have tip-top conditioning, but they don't have the IQ. When you fight, it's about the IQ and the experience. So I go in there and I let them do their thing. You know, they can't touch me, and then they gas out. They train every day and they gas out. I don't even train. I don't like gas out because I know how to pace myself, and I pick my part, feed up the mistakes. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. That's another good point you bring too. I got you, Joy. Joy. That's another good point you bring out because some fighters don't understand how to pace yourself in an initial fight where you grade your opponent, learn your opponent, and like you said, I'm gonna go back and say Mayweather. If you notice, Mayweather don't fight until he get one fighter. He trained when he get a fight.
Right.
He trains all the time. That's why his body in great shape. And some of the fighting got to go through pounding and pounding and pounding. And I'm gonna tell you one, I'm going to point out Sugar Ray Leonard. He had the fastest hands in boxing. As he got older, the hands got slower.
Right.
And once you get slower, you gotta be able to transition your style to fit the new rate of yourself. You know, and
the new body type.
Exactly. Now, see, some fighters they usually go up higher because they have an advantage. Like you say,
Right.
to me, I will even though I'm a little bigger, but that's my skill to fool you. I want you to think I'm bigger. You know why you come in the ring thinking I'm bigger and slower?
That's right.
Right.
When I tap you, where'd that come from? Whoa. You don't see it. And
Right.
I'll tell you, sometimes you have to play a possum game, I call it. A possum fighting game where you play, I'm the indefensive fighter. Like you say, I don't train much. Don't worry. You just ring. How you beat me, man? You just not supposed to beat me, bro. You just do anything in the gym. But that happens.
You know what I realized because because I opened my own gym, right, and I got a lot of new students that comes in there and they're bigger than me, and what happened when before when I was fighting in the early part of my career, I was very offensive. That's what I was taught, and the student would come and spar with me, and I would beat them up because I had to be offensive to keep them off me, right? And guess what? The student would never come back to my gym after I beat him up because there's like this guy just got so much experience, he beat me up. But that's not the highest respect you can earn, right? Because if you beat a student, the student is like, yeah, he just because he has so much more experience, he beat me up. But the highest respect you can earn from a student or from anybody is being defensively. So what I did is I learned how to develop my defensive skill. And when I spar with people, I said, look, go ahead, hit me as hard as you can, as fast as you can. I'm not going nowhere. After 2-3 rounds, they gassed out. And I said, without throwing a punch, they lost. So that's what I developed. I developed a better defensive skill, and I could use it if I wanted to. You know what I mean? But you don't win fight by just being defensive. You got to be offensive to win skills, to win the fight. You got to be 50-50. And that's what I realized, in fighting, you got to be 50-50. And that's what a lot of fighters nowadays, they just focus so much on offensive, and they lack that defensive skill. Because once you start to fight better fighter and that fighter is coming back at them, can they withstand that? That's they're gonna realize. That's why a lot of fighters don't want to fight me because they can hit me with everything. I'm not going nowhere.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like Johnny hit me with. That's what Johnny thought. Johnny Bedford thought he was gonna come and bully me, and I'm just gonna run. I said, look, you're thinking the wrong mindset. I'm not going nowhere. No matter how hard you hit me, I'll be right in front of you. I'm gonna make you miss. And when I return, are you gonna be able to accept that?
Exactly.
Right. So let me ask you real quick.
That's the highest level in martial arts.
Absolutely. But let me transition back to bare knuckle because it seems like bare knuckle is on the way to make a transition to where the UFC was 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, when the Fertittas had it about 10 years ago, they went to the Middle East and got that $100 million seed money to grow and expand. Bare knuckle's right on the cusp of that. Do you think that more fans will transition to bare knuckle fighting because it's more pure, or do you think they'll stay in the mainstream MMA, UFC, Bellator genre?
I think the bare knuckle is going to be the biggest out of the combat sport, out of the three sports. I mean, boxing is always going to be the gentleman sports. It's more of a sweet science, hit and not get hit. But bare knuckle is going to be a hybrid of between UFC fan and boxing purists. Boxing purists and UFC, kids that loves the blood and the sports. So they're going to be merged into bare knuckles. The bare knuckles is going to be actually bigger than those two sports combined. So, because of the action that it's bringing and the level of fighters is going to increase, as more superstars coming in, as the pay is going to increase. So, like I said, bare knuckle, it's going to be the mainstream sport that people are going to be tuning because you're going to see knockouts. You're going to see blood, and you're going to see gentleman sports. You're going to see the periods of boxing, about war, and the kids nowadays, bare knuckles fan base are about 70-80% 35 and under. So you already know that's a growing sport because those kids are going to be the future fans, like how the UFC was in the back in the 20s ago.
That's right.
So basically, when I look at my fan base, they are basically 35 and under. I mean, 75-80% of them. So, those kids are going to my son's age, 15, 17, 18 years old. You know what I mean? Because, with social media, I mean, it can make you because you can become a superstar overnight. You go viral, so.
It's true. You're right. But I have a question for you, too. Because every sport has one issue that has been killing people all the while, even Muay Thai, all the sports, kickboxing, the point system. Now, how do they grade in a point system? Because some sports grade on damage or speed damage. Some sports based on how many hits actually make contact with the person, how many punches you're throwing. And some sports go by how more active are you in the ring. like how bare knuckle is countering some of the point system and making the system more exciting versus the other sports where it's getting boring because people you think should win don't win
Right.
because
Sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes.
Right.
Yeah. Unless you box in
Yeah,
Texas. That's all I'm going to say.
right. You know why I like bare knuckle better? I like bare knuckle more because it's it's man to man. When you fight somebody in the street, you're gonna earn the respect, right? You beat them up, they're gonna
exactly.
respect you, and that's what bare knuckle is. With boxing, the guy can just put his guards up and say, "Hit me as hard as you can," and the guy is not getting no damage. He's not really respecting you. But with bare knuckle, you
Exactly.
can't do that. You can't put your guards up and sit there hit me as hard as because those punches gonna go right through the guards. You
That's
know,
right.
so
Exactly.
so as a man to man, like I said, when I fought Johnny Bedford, Johnny, I sensed it in Johnny. I knew I won the round. I knew that I earned his respect as a man to man. He knew.
Yeah.
I knew in his eye that I won that round. I knew he would feel me. That's how you earn people. I
Exactly.
mean, if you have a problem with somebody that you hate, and you're like, man, let's go fight. Let's go fight. At the end of the fight, that guy's gonna give you respect because he know you beat him.
Right.
Man to man. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? If you
Exactly.
put gloves on and you guys are both at the same level, then it's a little different. So that's why I like bare knuckle more because it's a real fight, and you can sense the difference right away. And, with the judging in bare knuckle, it's almost like boxing. The judges can see that. I mean, so far I like the judging in bare knuckle. For a moment I thought the judge wasn't gonna score for me, but in my
Yeah.
heart I knew I won this round as men to men. But like I said, it's fair because anytime there's betting odds in there, they can be persuaded,
Right.
because
Exactly.
Right.
money's at play. And like I said, when I fought Johnny Bedford, I was negative 150,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
by fight day it was plus two. No, I was plus 120, and
Hmm.
by fight day I was negative 220 in Vegas. So a lot of people put money on me. And Johnny Bedford was what, plus 150? No, he was
Yeah.
negative 150. By fight night, he was plus 175. So a lot of money went to me. So a lot of people, they messaged me and said, I want
Yeah.
20,000 from you. Because I said, look, because I told him ahead of time, I was confident. I said, look, bet on me, you're gonna win. I hope I was a bigger underdog. So you know,
I like that. I like that.
I actually gonna do 10. Yeah, I was gonna bet 10,000 on myself, in Bitcoin money, because when you bet Bitcoin, you got 100% bonus, right? Right.
Right.
I mean, because I was so, like I said, look, you see, I don't like to bet on myself because it's just that because I'm a believer in God, and when you bet, it's kind of like it's not good. So I don't like to bet on myself. But anyway, because I was so confident.
Yep.
I wanted to make some money, some extra money by betting on myself. I was going to bet $10,000, and with the Bitcoin money, you get 100% bonus. So by the time I look at the odds, I was like, I withdraw the Bitcoin and deposit
Yeah.
Bitcoin, and then next thing I know, the odds flipped from I said the plus 120, and then it went to negative 150, and then negative 200. I'm like, man, I'm not betting on myself anymore because I got to bet 200 to win 100 on myself now.
Right. Right. It's crazy.
Yeah. So you
Crazy.
got to jump on it right early. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Hey,
That's the thing
crazy.
about betting.
Listen,
Oh,
Dad, we want to thank you, man, for being on the
Yeah.
show, man. It was hilarious.
I love
And also, man, look, we just love your spirit and your style, brother. We
Yeah.
thank you for being honest with us, man, and just being
Yeah.
yourself, man. We're looking forward
Yeah.
to your next fight. What tips do you have for new students and new athletes trying to get to bare knuckle?
I said it's a new sport, so I'm glad I got in there early. Like I said, if you have a dream, keep pursue it. Like I
Right.
said, I had a dream 20 years ago. I want to be a world champion, and I never gave up that dream. No matter what I did, I said, the thing is never give up and always believe. Look, if you believe in yourself, that's the most important thing. I always believe in myself. I always believe I will be a world champion, and I never give hope. I never give up. No
That's right.
matter, like I said, once you lose that drive, you're done. You're not gonna accomplish your dream. So don't give up. It might take longer than other, but if you keep pursue it, people are gonna see it. You're gonna get that opportunity one day. And then you gotta work hard. And the thing is about work, instead of working hard, work smart.
That's right.
A lot of fighters, they, like I said, when I was in my mid 20s, I worked so hard. I used to run almost every day. I hit the bag as hard as I could. I wasn't getting better as a fighter. Now I will beat myself without training. I could beat my old version of myself without training with the best version of myself 20 years ago. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's about up here. You know, you read a lot, use your IQ, be smart. Fighting is all about IQ. People don't realize that. You know, physical is one thing, but if you can be outsmart your opponent, you can beat them with technique and IQ. And
Absolutely.
also, like as I said, you always respect the master, right? The master will always beat your student because he has so much more IQ, right? No matter how much
Exactly.
student trade, if you haven't taught him all that, you already know how he fights. You can always beat him, right? So I already know you're a master right there. So yeah. So you know, that's the thing. You know, get better and focus on your IQ and focus on defense. Defense is the hardest to learn. It takes 10 times longer to learn defense than offense.
Yeah.
Right.
Because defense is learning to stay calm in the heat of battle and seeing those things and reacting. You know, because offense is also defense. But what happens when your opponent can withstand it and come back at you? You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
Because when you start to fight your opponent, trust me, those opponents are gonna come back. They're gonna withstand whatever you're giving them. You fire at them, they're gonna come back. Are you gonna be able to withstand what they're giving you? If you can do that, then it's gonna be bringing you to another level.
Right. I don't know if you said it or not, real
Yeah.
quick, but do you know when your next fight is going to be?
Yeah.
Well, I think David's gonna let me know by Monday or so. To see, I'm gonna give you guys the news right now. I'm probably gonna fight Jim Allaire. They try to put the fight together right now. Jim Allaire, because Jim Allaire fought for the 155-pound title, right? And he
Right.
lost to Palomino. He was at 1.4-0 with 3 knockouts. Like he knocked everybody out in the first round. So
Nice.
he was gonna be the next superstar until he lost to Palomino. So if he moves down to 145 pound, it only makes sense for him to fight for the 145 pound title. So
Right.
if I move up to 145, you know, it should be for the title fight. And then I'll be crowned double champion. I believe that I will be a better fighter between me and Jimmy Allaire, even though he's a great fighter. I think it's gonna be a war, but I think I'm gonna come out as a winner, and then I'll be double champ, and then we can go for Palomino 155 pound title, triple champ.
That's
Triple
right.
champ, and then I can call Conor McGregor to come to bare knuckle. You know what I mean? Or Mayweather. You know, Mayweather. I love Mayweather. I respect him a lot. He did a very smart thing with his career. He made a lot of money. Imagine if he comes to bare knuckle, you know, fighting. He make $100 million. I make $10 million. I'm happy with that.
That's
I know,
right.
right?
That's
I'll be
right.
happy.
That's
I'll be
right.
happy.
That's right.
But
I
I think he
I'll
got.
be happy to see it.
Exactly.
You know what it is? You know, he got fragile hands. So I said, look, you can use gloves in bare knuckle. Well, we can do boxing actually. We can do boxing.
Exactly.
You'll box for 10 million?
Hey, I think I'm about 10
man.
minutes.
You know what? I'm not fighting Mayweather to box. I'm gonna beat him. That's the problem. But, you know, people, hey, because you know, like I said, I'm a student of the game. Look, the only way for you to beat your opponent is you can see his mistake, right? You can say this and that, but if you don't see your opponent's mistake, the way to beat Mayweather is to be awkward. Look at Madonna. Madonna is very awkward and unconventional. That's the way to beat Mayweather. And you cannot load up on your punches. You gotta, you know, when he does that Mayweather shove, you got to be unconventional because he's so used to rolling with those conventional punches. And the key is, you know, it's IQ. Do not burn. Mayweather wants you to burn all your energy on him. You know, he's a 12-round type of guy. He burns, and he's a great boxer, son. And you know, he's smart. He's smart. And that's the thing about fighting. You know, you gotta be smart. People don't realize that the best fighters out there are very intelligent. You know, you know what I mean? Because you need to be intelligent, not just tough. You gotta be intelligent.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, definitely. So tell everybody where they can find you at, how to keep track of you, and make sure you're ready for that fight coming up. You gotta read that fight.
You can follow me on Instagram, guys. That be that. Okay, you see the bare knuckle? Put BE instead of that be that, just like that. And you can follow me on Facebook as well. That be that at that be that. And then it will link you to my fan page there. I don't use Facebook anymore because I used to be very on there because I was one of the early users of Facebook. You know, because I studied technology and social media, you know, in college in the early days. And you know, I love social media, but like I said, once you got married and you got a family, it's difficult to stay in touch with everybody.
Definitely.
You know, so
that's right.
Yeah, you know how it is. You know how it is.
Oh, yeah.
And then, you know, being on the internet always gets you in. Being on the internet always gets you in trouble, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, listen, Dad, we definitely appreciate
because,
you being on the show, brother.
You said you right. Right. You say one wrong thing, it can ruin your whole career nowadays. I mean, if you're a celebrity, you know,
That's
because
right.
you know the social media, it can also help. There's pros and cons to that.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids like Ryan Garcia become a superstar because of social media.
Yep,
Right.
that is true. But brother,
Yeah.
it's been a blessing to have you on the show.
Absolutely. We
Hey,
appreciate
Welcome
you.
to the family, brother. Welcome to the family, man.
yes, thank you so much, man. Yes, thank you so much, guys. And it's my pleasure to be on here. Like I said, since my last fight, I haven't been in any podcast with anybody, and you guys been contacting me, so I appreciate all that. Thank you so much for having me on here, guys.
Oh, definitely love to have you again, man.
Yeah.
So
Love to have
please,
you back, brother.
you know,
When
good luck on that
Yeah,
fight.
for sure.
Our fingers are crossed that you guys make that fight happen, because definitely would love to see it.
Well, definitely.
Right, I show you guys my belt here. See, it's at
Oh,
the
let me
ranch.
go,
I'll show you
George.
guys
You
the
got the
belt.
belt picture, George.
Yeah. See, I got the belt here. Honey, can you turn the light? Let me turn the lights on here. See,
Okay.
I see it. When I had my party here for my I got like 100 people came here to take pictures because this belt is historical. You know, it's a first sanctioning belt in the United States. Let me see if I can flip this camera around. Let me see. How do I flip this camera around here? I don't even know how to do
Ask
it.
your
See,
son.
camera.
I know,
You'll be
right?
able to do it.
Oh, right there. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There you go. Flip it. Let me see if I can flip it. No, I guess not. But anyway, camera. Okay. Anyway, this is my belts here. See this belt right here? This is the Cassette belt. This belt was the first sanctioning belt in the United States in combat sports. So this is
Right.
the father of all belts.
Right.
You know what I mean? Johnny L. Settlement is one of the heavyweight bare knuckle champions. You know, and then this is the bare knuckle FC
Right.
belt right here. They made a beautiful belt here. It's super heavy, you know. And this one is actually I read about the history here. This is actually real diamond sterling and silver, and then diamond here. So this belt it's the world championship belt. It's amazing belt. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you know, I think that's the most beautiful belt out there right now. The history and the design, you know.
Right.
Design
Right.
is
Right.
yeah.
Well, definitely. I love
Yeah.
the belt.
Well, we definitely appreciate it, brother.
All right,
Definitely
thank you so
appreciate
much,
it.
guys. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Thank you,
Anytime.
brother.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you. Man, that was a pearl jewel right there, Joe. We saw the belts, man.
Yeah, man.
Belts, brother.
No doubt. No doubt. We always keep it real on Real Talk.
I'm telling you, Joe, if you get all 4 titles, we heard it here first.
All three. Don't
All
forget. He
I was thinking
hits
with
his
a-
weight class. He's going up to 45 and then 55.
I think we'll go down.
Man, look, if he can become a triple champion, Frage, he'll be the first one in history to do it, because everybody's like double champion.
Exactly.
But if he's at 35, 45, and 55, oh, it's over. It's a wrap.
It's done. He go
Yeah.
down in history, the best fighter, one of the best fighters ever, easily.
You know, consecutive, holding them at the same time. Yeah, man, definitely all good.
Hey, that'd be amazing, man.
Yeah. Hey, listen, that was our show. Hey, this is George,
Hey, this is Frank.
and that was Real Talk with George and Frazier. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you on the next show.
Well,
Peace.
definitely. Peace.